Hello all! The last couple videos we've looked more at grammar rules, but this one I would like to talk about the college application essay. I've had a lot of people lately talk to me about it and want me to go over that with them. So just so you know kind of what they're looking for when you do those application essays, I thought I'd do a slideshow for you. So, one of the most important things when you're writing anything is to know your audience. You need to know what people want to hear. So, when you're writing this, you need to think that the person who's going to be reading your essay is an adult, and it's just not some adult off the street, but an adult who has chosen a life in universities. This person has to read thousands upon thousands of essays because so many people apply to different schools, and therefore she can only or he can only spend about 5 minutes and form an opinion about you. So you need to make sure that you do a really great job right out of the gate, that you get their attention, and that you're making sure that you're using language that they want to hear. Finally, and this will be on all of my slides, you need to make sure that you edit. There is nothing worse than even reading an exciting essay that has so many grammar errors or stylistic errors that there feels as if there's no real purpose in reading or continuing to read. So not only do you need to know your audience, but you obviously need to make your essay exciting, and definitely more exciting than the other thousands of children who are applying to the university that you want to go to. You need to use language that will allow your reader to experience your story. Be very detailed in your story. Make your reader feel as if they're actually there. Create a picture for your reader so that person can get drawn into the story and really want to finish reading it. So, as I said before, make sure that you're creative and make sure that you are original. And I'll talk more about being original in a later slide. Okay, so this is important too. You are writing a short story, not a novel. You cannot go on forever and ever. So you need to look at your essay after it's been written and think about what you can take out. What is redundant? What have you already said? Does every piece of your writing add value to your story? Because that's what this is. This is your story. You need to convince them that you are the person that needs to be at their university. And so you need to give a really great account of who you are. Please avoid talking in circles, don't say things too many times, and don't sound presumptuous. It is important, and I'll talk to you in a later slide about using high level vocabulary, but don't use high level vocabulary if you don't need to. It really does take away from your own voice and who you are, unless of course that's who you are, and we'll talk about that later too. Don't expand on items that don't play a central part of your story. So be very aware of the parts that are important, and if you need to add details about it that aren't a main part of your story, that you make sure that you don't spend too much time on that part. By the same token, you don't want to be too short either. Don't just tell what happened. Don't just say, oh, I went to the store. Make your reader experience. What was it like when you went to the store? What was the weather like? How did the weather contribute to your adventure to the store? Obviously, don't write about going to the store unless you have some unique, creative, original story about going to the store. But try to avoid situations or experiences that most people have experienced. You need to add the sensory details. What did it look like? What did it feel like? What did it sound like? And so on and so forth. You may even want to add dialogue into it. Was there a conversation between two people? How will that contribute to your story as a whole? And most importantly, develop your own personality. They want to see who you are and what it will be like to have you at their school. So important to stay on topic. You need to make sure that you answer the question and that you don't stray from the topic at hand. After you've written your story, break it down into one sentence. What did you just tell them about yourself? Just recently, I read an application essay, and it was on track, and it was on purpose up until the final paragraph, and then the final paragraph didn't tie back around to the topic. It was completely about something else that had nothing to do with the topic at hand. So avoid that. Make sure that you are staying on topic. They will be looking for that because that is a key component of writing any good essay, not just an application essay. You also need to make sure that you're avoiding assumptions. No one can read your mind, and your reader can definitely not read your mind, considering your reader isn't even going to know you. So you need to make sure that you are presenting a picture that is best for you. So don't assume that they know anything about you or your situation or the experience that you're telling them about. And definitely don't assume that they know what the outcome of the event is. Any good story has an ending, and you need to make sure that your ending is a solid ending. Don't use words like obviously because they contribute to assuming things, and what might be obvious to you is not going to be obvious to somebody else. Avoid using common experiences. I touched on this briefly in a previous slide, but you need to think outside the box. Do not discuss or explain a church or school mission trip that you went on. I know it seems as if that would be a particularly special experience, but so many students use it that it really makes it quite cliche in the end, and people don't want to read about something that they've already read a few other essays about. So try to think of something that really is completely unique to you, that explains and describes who you are and how that thing contributes to who you are today. Avoid common childhood issues like being the new kid or being different looking from everybody else. Now, if those two things do contribute to who you are, and you can write an exceptional story about how a specific event made you who you are, then go ahead and try it. There's nothing wrong with writing multiple essays in order to see which one is better in the end. Obviously, just kidding. It seems, I need to tell you anyway, but your first paragraph is the most important paragraph. Set the tone early. Make your reader want to continue to read. Play with the timeline of your story. Are you going to start with a flashback? Are you going to start with a hook of some sort that might not be connected to your main story, but that has a purpose of drawing your reader in order to have them keep reading? The most important thing is that they keep reading, and you don't want to make it interesting just at the end. It needs to be interesting right at the beginning so that they want to keep reading. Having said that, use the sensory details. Give a good description right in the beginning of the essay. So this is something that is very interesting. There is no doubt that you need to use high-level vocabulary. You need to show that you are a high-level writer and that you understand how to use high-level vocabulary effectively. There's nothing worse, though, than trying to read a story where every second word is a word that people don't typically use. It doesn't show what your voice is. It doesn't contribute to your meaning. And so you want to avoid dousing your essay in high-level vocabulary. Sprinkle it in every once in a while. Every paragraph should have one very well-placed vocabulary word that really contributes to setting up the idea that you are an intellect and that you belong at this university. By the same token, you need to make sure that you use that high-level vocabulary correctly. There is nothing worse than reading an essay and seeing someone use a high-level vocabulary word incorrectly. It just shows that you're either using the computer synonym generation, and it shows that you actually don't use good vocabulary often and you don't know how to use it. So be wary of that also. Finally, with my 10 suggestions today, this is number 10. Have fun with it. People love to write stories, and if you're excited about your essay, your audience is much more likely to be excited about your essay too. Play with your timeline, as I said before, play with your language, as I said before, and more important than anything else, you need to make sure that you edit it. You can use me to help you edit it by looking at advancedlanguagearts.com. I definitely provide feedback for your essays, but if you don't want to reach out to me, please make sure that you have a teacher read it or a parent read it or an older brother and sister to read it, even just to get their feedback to see what they think about it. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment box below or to go to advancedlanguagearts.com and email me from there. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.